Topping our news at 5:30, for nearly 2 years, the 7 investigators have been exposing problem police officers job hopping from one agency to another.
Lawmakers in Lansing took notice and introduced bills aimed at stopping troubled cops in their tracks. But after that legislation stalled at the end of the year, there's a new bipartisan push to get those laws changed. Here's 7 investigator Ross Jones.
The good officers want this so that they can take the bad officers out of their ranks.
The problem lawmakers like Jeremy Moss are trying to solve is one that's impacted police agencies big and small. For years, we've revealed how troubled officers across Michigan have been allowed to jump to different departments, leaving scandal, lawsuits, or criminal charges behind.
You've detailed these reports year after year after year. This is not a one-off problem in our communities.
Officers found new badges despite what they did in their last department, like a cop seen punching a citizen in the face or improperly tasing a homeless man. A deputy caught buying narcotics on duty and using racist language.
Whatever you are.
Officers accused of harassment by multiple women, engaging in sex acts or sexting with women they'd pulled over, and cops found to be untruthful.
First of all, wow. I'm familiar with many of those stories, but hearing them all listed in one sentence is pretty horrifying.
Senator Stephanie Chang knows it's not supposed to work this way. When an officer leaves their job, whether it's for a good or bad reason, their department is supposed to tell the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, or MCOLS, exactly why. At the same time, any department looking to hire that officer is required to conduct a thorough background check of their own. But too often we found that didn't happen, with some chiefs hiring officers without even knowing how they left their last job.
He was not fired.
By Dearborn, he sure was.
He was not.
Yes, he was, sir.
Okay.
Want me to show you the paperwork?
In other cases, departments claim that an officer left in good standing when they were actually under investigation or facing internal charges. And sometimes it was state investigators who dropped the ball, failing to flag problem cops before another agency could hire them.
We know that when there are bad cops that are hired at agency after agency because they literally did not know what happened at the previous agency with this misconduct, that hurts the entire profession.
Bills aimed at closing some of those loopholes died during lame duck back in December. So last month, Senator Chang and a bipartisan group of lawmakers reintroduced a similar package of bills.
We have found some of the biggest partners on this have been law enforcement.
The package of bills is designed to help plug some of the holes our investigation revealed. If signed by the governor, they would allow MCOLS to set standards for department background checks, require departments to fully disclose why an officer left and whether they were under investigation during their final year. It would give the state greater authority to revoke a law enforcement license, and it would also give MCOLS a 90-day window to take away a license if it was activated in error. Other bills in the package aim to limit the use of no-knock warrants, require departments to adopt duty-to-intervene policies, and more. While most of the sponsors are Democrats, 3 Republicans have already signed on to some of the bills.
We've seen police reform become this political tool every campaign cycle. We don't want that. We want to try and promote and uphold law enforcement standards that law enforcement wants into law.
But if the bills make their way through the Michigan Senate, where Democrats are in control, they're likely to have a hard time in the Republican-controlled House.
Too many of these radical left Democrats, all they want to do is handcuff police and make it harder to be a police officer.
Back in April, while calling for new funding for police statewide, Speaker Matt Hall said he would not be supportive of police reform bills like the ones that died back in lame duck.
Rather than focus on making it more difficult to be a police officer, I think we need to be investing in our local police.
Senator Moss says reining in rogue cops is only good for policing, which is why he says chiefs and sheriffs support his bill. But whether he can convince enough lawmakers remains to be seen.
We're trying to do the work in Lansing to make sure that if there is a bad officer, they don't just take a bad record and pollute another agency with it.
Well, those bills now wait for a committee hearing. If you'd like to contact your lawmaker about this legislation, we've included a link to do so inside this story right now at WXYZ.com. But the longer they don't deal with this, the more likely we're going to see other examples, other officers like this with more stories to tell. So we'll see if they tackle it.
Yeah, the accountability has to be there.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Ross.